On this episode of AV Week, QASC halts shipments and the corporate side of House of Worship. All this and more on this episode of AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week episode 523, A Gooder Service, aka Let's Get Cookin'.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Sennheiser. For over 75 years, Sennheiser has been a leader in pro audio and is now offering a wide variety of touchless and traditional audio solutions for both corporate and educational campus-wide audio.
And by FSR.
Welcome to this episode of AV Week. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. We're filling in for Mr. Albright this week. We have with us this week, it's going to be a fantastic show. First, we have my sister, Megan Dutta. She is the new Director of Emerging Markets at Rave Agency. How you doing, Meg?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Then we have my twin, Mr. Luke Jordan. He is the VP and co-steward at Electroacoustics. How you doing, Luke?
Good. Had nothing else to do, so I'm glad to be here.
You really should find ways to fill your day, Luke. Like, you're a VP. You can't just hang
I'm
out
getting
and
a
do
little
podcasts.
mini golf course for my office.
That sounds amazing. I might steal that idea. And last but not least, we have Mr. John Henkel. He is the Pro AV Product Marketing Manager at Netgear. How you doing, John?
Well, thanks. Luke and I were talking together what we could do for Friday for entertainment, and here we are.
Yeah, look at that. I'm glad you guys could join me. It's going to be a fun show. We are going to kick it off with a story that comes to us from ravepubs.com. QASC is going to temporarily stop fulfilling orders for a number of products due to supply shortages in a maybe not an internal letter, but a letter that went out to premier dealers. QASC mentions that due to supply shortages, shipping issues, etc., there is a fairly decent product portfolio that they are going to stop accepting orders on those products for the foreseeable future until they can supply those in a efficient manner, we'll say. This is the first of its kind, to my knowledge, of a vendor coming right out and saying, hey, we have a bunch of mainstay products that we can't fulfill in a timely manner, so we're not even going to take back orders on them. Megan, this must have been a tough decision to make for QASC to articulate this and put it on paper, opposed to just having a rep say, yeah, you don't want to order that one for a while. What does it mean to see a big company like QASC kind of have this, semi-honest note out to its dealer base? And I say semi-honest in the sense that they didn't post this on the website. This just went out to dealers, and in the bottom it says, please do not send this out. This is confidential, which it no longer is. So sorry about that. I didn't get it. It didn't come from me. I'm not the source. What does it mean, Megan, to see a company be this honest with their dealer base about the issues that they're facing as far as supplying product?
I'm a big fan of transparency, and this is kind of like the ultimate transparency, just saying like, hey, you're not going to get these. So, you're essentially not wasting people's time. They're not speccing them. They're not trying to order them and then waiting for updates on it. And I think it is going to lead to a greater trend. They're the first to do it. It's like you said, to our knowledge, they're the first to do it. And I think it's going to make other manufacturers feel more comfortable saying, you know what, we're also having the same problem, because it's not a secret that the entire world is facing a supply chain shortage. I mean, I just ordered new windows in March. They're getting here this week. That's not normal, and everybody's facing that, and no matter what industry that you're in. So I think it's they get big props for claiming it and owning it.
Very good. Luke, when you see this as an integrator, as a dealer, does this endear QASC to you? Do you take that honesty and say, yes, this is fantastic, even though we can't sell those products and we've got to find a replacement? When they have them, we're definitely coming full board with that. Does it make you want to see that honesty from your other vendors?
It's a mixed bag for me. I definitely agree that transparency and, hey, this is what's coming is really nice. There's a mixing console that I ordered in April, and they've quit responding to when I'm going to get it. And so we're having to just use existing gear and not have as many channels and come up with a workaround for our client. So, yeah, knowing that that's coming and there's just no time horizon, but they are being proactive about communicating that's great. On the other hand, maybe unlike some consultants that is what I chose for this reason and it has to be that and it's worth the wait, I serve the client and I serve their timetable. And so it's less about, I'm going to use this product and this is nice to have so I can quit specifying that. I still have a bunch of jobs and a bunch of clients in a lurch, and this doesn't help me solve that problem, which is my biggest problem, is taking care of my clients and just being good stewards of their facilities and their systems. So
does it give you, though, like the part that I really relate with, and full disclosure, if you don't know, I'm an integrator too, so I get this. Do you not, or can you not appreciate the fact that they're saying, hey, don't put this into your spec because we don't have it for the foreseeable future? So yes, you're still scrambling, but you're not sitting there for 3 months and then 6 months and then maybe 9 months down the road going, we're still waiting on that thing because my rep keeps telling me it's a month out. I'm sure it's on the water, right? Is that not helpful?
So the hard line to take here is I appreciate the transparency, but I appreciate inventory even more. And so I think this leaves the door open for any other competitor to say either, hey, we weren't as popular, so we didn't have the demand, but we saw the writing on the wall. We increased production capacity. We hired staff. We started working more hours, and we can take all of those amplifiers that you need, all those touch panels you need, all these accessories you need, and we can produce a competitive product and have it in stock, and we have got 6 months of inventory in the States ready to go. Come find us. I think this is a big opportunity for someone to try and catch up market share and create waves. I appreciate inventory more than a proactive, here's what's coming. But I also believe in grace. So I really do appreciate what's going on, and I'm willing to hold out on a great relationship with a manufacturer like QASC because they're doing this. But it'd be helpful if they gave me some type of idea of how long I needed to hold on for before I start swapping products over.
But Luke, what makes you think that other manufacturers just have all these spare parts when there's a global shortage of supplies? I mean, that's the whole reason it's not like...
Because I'm still installing?
No, I get it. But I mean, I've worked for a manufacturer, and John, you can feel free to jump in here, but it's not like everyone is just like, oh yeah, we have these spare parts around, but QSC is the only company that's having this issue.
Yeah, it's tough. I can certainly jump in. Being the only manufacturer here, or currently, I should say, making you work for one, it's tough. This is a huge problem worldwide for not just this industry, as you're saying. So I worked for several manufacturers before, and Netgear being a public company and is massive, this is the biggest company I've worked for, and it affects the entire company. It affects what products we choose to make a year from now or 2 years from now. But for current supply and things, I admire their transparency for sure. I think that helps in general, but like Luke said, product on the shelf would help even more. At Netgear, we've done such a good job, I think, overall of marketing to the Pro AV community for our switches, and now we're having supply issues, and it happens. Unfortunately, trying to get out of that is not as easy, and our operations team is working amazing feats trying to get these products in. We're flying products in versus putting them on a ship sometimes if we have to. We're as you all have heard of or read about some of these deals, we're making headway with like QSC for exclusive partnership for some of our switches or so and so. So we have to make sure we allot some of them to them while making sure that people like Luke and Matt have product as well to install. So it's a huge balancing act that is just, we talk about this daily at Netgear. It is difficult to get out of. And like Megan, like you're saying, it isn't like just, oh, we'll just use a different chip, because that whole board is designed around this one chip. And it comes from the chip manufacturers down to the ODMs. Oh, COVID breaks out at a factory, and now you can't produce that product. I mean, it's endless. So it's a really sticky thing. It's a really difficult problem. I get.
And to that point, we started doing Netgear as our primary go-to switch within the last year. But you can only do so many different lines that do the same thing. You really can't carry every line at a competitive price and know the nuances and kind of design intentions of every brand. So you kind of have to pick a limited number of switches, amplifiers, speakers, whatever, and you've kind of got to roll the dice with those, and maybe you do one off for a bid, but you probably don't have the best pricing. So I get calls constantly because of my role within my business of, hey, we are such and such company, we do this, we think you'd be a good fit, we would love to work with you. And the answer I usually give is, thanks, I appreciate that, I know who you are, I like what you do, but I am in a good place with this company, and they're going to have to give me a good opportunity to go looking before I'm actually going to go do that. And I have switched several vendors in the last few years because of that. It's been a volatile couple years, it feels like. But so where I was getting my switches was transactional. I've had more of a relationship with Netgear. So I'll pick on them because you're on the call, John, and that's been great. But situations like these is where companies gain and lose market share. Mm-hmm. And this global supply chain has not been a new issue at all. And so some companies, I think, have been able to forecast or deal with that. And again, I mean, I understand there's grace. QASC is just a very, very big fish. And so there is a lot of demand, and they do a great job marketing it, and they do a fantastic job innovating it. I've got a great relationship. If Corey Schaefer, if you're listening, I love you guys. So I'm not bashing QASC at all. However, there is just this friction of, I appreciate the relationship, however, I don't have product. So it's tough all around. It's been tough for a while.
Matt, one more thing in the article before we wrap up.
What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about the 5% surcharge.
That doesn't shock me at all.
I know, but I want to know how many manufacturers are doing that and semi-publicizing
publicly?
it.
I'll speak to that for a second. The majority of our companies, we're seeing increasing shipping. Everybody's increasing shipping, because I was talking to a vendor last week who told me they typically buy a container for $3,000 to ship things over from China, and now they are paying $22,000 to $25,000 for a container. So there comes a point, and there's a lot of reasons for that, as far as why there's a shortage, and I'm sure there's some price gouging and some other things going on as well, but it is what it is. Shipping is going up extensively, and I think you're going to see that, Luke. I'm assuming you're seeing the same.
I actually don't know what shipping costs. Every now and then I'll do a couple box sales for TVs, and I'll be told you are way off, either above or below. I actually just calculate shipping as a percentage of overall cost on a project, which is what QASC is doing here. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm seeing random and rapid increases, even just on cost in general. Yep. Some of them, I guess this transparency is very nice. I've got Allen and Heath is doing an increase September 1st, so I am getting in tons and tons and tons of orders before now. I am breaking off parts of quotes because they don't have all the money, but they know they don't want to pay more. I'm breaking off, splitting up quotes to make sure that we get in under the deadline. So giving me here's a 2 weeks heads up, that's great. Other times I read emails that say, by reading this email, you have now been informed that there has been a price increase.
Those are my favorite.
So I think transparency is great. And I really am not super mad about shipping. It is what it is. I want them to make money and stay in business too.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv.